I've just spent the last couple of weeks obsessed for some reason with Yu-Gi-Oh! I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was a kid, collecting the cards, watching the anime. It was great. It's good stuff. And then a couple of weeks back, I just stuck on an episode out of the blue, and I got really into it again. It was brilliant. The anime is such a good advert for the games, because you watch Yugi and Artem dueling, being the king of games, and you watch Kaiba and you think, yeah, I could be the next king of games. But I went online and saw that there was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game called Duel Links. Man, the game has changed since I was into it. I'm 33 now. I was a young teenager when I was into Yu-Gi-Oh! The game has moved on without me. I tried to assemble a sort of Yugi deck, or like a Pharaoh deck, which is sort of like his deck he had on the Pegasus thing. What's that called? Kingdom, Duelist Kingdom. So I tried to assemble like a sort of Duelist Kingdom deck, and then you have so much fun with the game, and then you come across somebody who's doing link summoning, or mega summoning, or whatever they call it, some technical summoning, and it's insufferable. You go to take a turn and you put a monster down and you put a trap card down like you did in the good old days, and someone is spending the best part of 4.5 hours, it feels like, a huge chunk of your day taking their go, because the cards used to have writing and instructions on what each of the cards do. Cards these days have small essays, it's so detailed, and so in real life, I can't imagine how difficult it is playing in real life. You have to, take sort of 4 to 5 business days reading the cards, figuring out what they do, so it's a pain. But on Duel Links, it's a bit quicker, the game, but it still takes ages. They're just putting cards down, put this card down, that goes in the graveyard, I pull that out the graveyard, which lets me summon this guy, and this guy, and it goes on forever. If your only experience of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the experience I had, the original card game, the original series, and all that sort of era, it's totally off-putting and confusing and annoying. So I've been reintroduced to the Yu-Gi-Oh! World, and that's my experience so far. But I did punch through that. And now I'm doing okay on Duel Links. I've just started to understand all the new complicated summoning mechanics. And I started rewatching the anime and sort of binging it. And I've got to the point where I stopped last time. Where I stopped watching last time was when it's on the blimp in the contest, the tournament that Kaiba puts on. But it's really a ruse for everybody to try and collect and steal all the god cards. And I remember I stopped watching because they did a sort of, it's about to get to the finals. Marek's about to face Yugi or whatever, or Joey's about to face Marek, I can't quite remember. And then it nosedives into some random arc to do with Kaiba's CEO bosses, and it just vanishes. It goes on a totally different story. And I remember this at the time thinking, Christ, I want to get to the end of this story. What happens with the god cards? Does Yugi win? All that sort of stuff. And I've sort of fallen off with it at the exact same point I remember doing it when I was a teenager. But what is it that I enjoy so much about it? I don't know. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is cool. The cards were cool. Pokemon, at a certain point, I've always loved Pokemon. I've always played the games. But Yu-Gi-Oh! The cards, it was a little bit sort of more tricky and action-y. It was a little bit more, you felt as a kid that Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards were a little bit more grown up than Pokemon cards. You know what I mean? Like the evolution of that is like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, in my head. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has evolved and grown away from me, as it should. I'm a 33-year-old man with a family and a job and everything's going great, so I'm not the target audience for Yu-Gi-Oh! But I don't imagine kids being the target audience for Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards anymore, because it's so bloody complicated. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still really fun to play. I got over the hurdles of Duel Links and I kept barreling through, and it was brilliant. And there's one on the Switch, as a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game on the Switch. If you play Yu-Gi-Oh!, let me know what you think is better, Duel Links one or the Master Duel, is it, or something on Switch? Let me know. And if you can, is there a good way to get back into the cards where you're not totally flummoxed by all the new summoning conditions and stuff? And what's the best, this is a good question for you Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans, what's the best series post GX? Because I heard 5Ds is very good, it's got a great story, but there's loads after that I've totally, that's not for me at all. But if you could recommend one of them, what would it be? So this episode was about me rediscovering Yu-Gi-Oh! Recently, and I've been thoroughly enjoying it again. Anyway, that's all. Listen to the Steve Kaler Show podcast. Au revoir.